You guys ever notice how everything just kind of looks the same now? Cars look the same, apps look the same, logos look the same. Every apartment that you can rent just all kind of looks identical. Everything more or less that you can consume, that you can purchase, that you can buy, that you can rent, all just kind of feels like it's designed for the same basic guy named Kyle that works in corporate America. And it's not that design today is bad necessarily. If anything, technically it's cleaner than it's ever been. But that might be the issue. It's that it maybe is a little too clean. It feels safer. There's less personality behind any of it. There's no risk. And it didn't happen because designers ran out of ideas. It's more so because the environment around them stifled those ideas. This is a topic that I've sort of touched on before, and I'm really only bringing it up again because of a video that I ran into on TikTok. Cannot remember the creator for the life of me. If I find the video again, I'm gonna throw it up here. But it was about the recent Super Bowl, the halftime. You know, there's always the commercials, and everyone always kind of gets excited for the Super Bowl ads because they're always a little bit more creative. They're a lot more different. This creator brought up a good point, and that was that this year it was very dry, very uncreative. It almost felt like nobody really put in the work into them. It felt like it was very AI heavy. There was no real products being sold, more so services. And he made a interesting point. Has the US finally reached late stage capitalism, where we're not really producing anything anymore, we're just consuming things? And everything that we do produce has absolutely no difference to it. There's no competition whatsoever. It's all just built for quick and easy consumption. Let's backtrack this and focus on this from a designer standpoint. See, an easy explanation is that designers just got lazy, that everyone in the creative field just got lazy, which as a designer, honestly, I wish that was true, because that would be a way easier problem to fix. It'd literally just be buck up, get back to work, stop being a bum. But that's not the issue. The problem is that modern design, and modern creative fields in general, but from the design perspective, it has more constraints than ever before. Let's take cars, for example. Pedestrian safety rules dictate things like hood height. Aerodynamics pushes the shape to be a lot smoother, a lot sleeker. And then manufacturing platforms, things like the chassis or the frame of certain cars, they get shared across different platforms. Now, of course, sharing platforms has been a thing for a long time, but usually it was not as widespread. For example, the Toyota Tacoma and the Toyota 4Runner, they have almost always been two cars that have shared the same platform. But nowadays, it's more like you'll find that the coupe, the sedan, the truck, the van, the SUV, the crossover, all are on the same exact platform, which that really kind of kills any sort of creative, like it doesn't make anything different. You're not buying a different product, at least not necessarily. The driving experience will essentially be the same if you're buying the sedan over the crossover. You just get maybe a little extra space in terms of storage, and that's pretty much it. You're not really buying a super different product, but it's different enough where they could probably hike the price or something. So the thing is that before a designer actually draws up anything, most of the rules are already set in place. It starts to feel kind of like a character creator where everyone's choosing the exact same preset. And it's not necessarily copying, it's more so a convergence. Everyone's solving the same problems, just kind of end up in the same place. And the thing is that we've reached a point where people are designing more so for ease of manufacturing, for efficiency. How efficiently, how quickly can we put products out? They don't want to make a bunch of different products. They want to make them all on the same platform because that you can just produce a lot of the same platform, and then you just have to change up the body style. In this case, speaking of cars, for things like phones or other products that you find in product design, it's just about the same thing. How many of the same parts can we use? So you get a lot of products that are just variants of the same thing. There's no real difference. Whether you buy from one company or from company B, company C, or company D, it's pretty much all exactly the same regardless. You're not being sold an actual different product, you're being sold the illusion of a different product. And then that leads to the next thing. Design used to really live in the real world. Now it lives on your phone. Logos used to be designed for buildings, packaging, and signage, things you would see from far away. They needed detail. But now they live on a tiny little circle on your screen, which means that most companies took those logos and flattened them. Chrome badges turned into flat graphics. Shadows disappeared. There's no more depth. And individually, every single one of those decisions makes sense. But when everyone is making those optimizations, just kind of starts to blend. Everything that different companies are making start to just kind of look like they came from the same template. Like one graphic designer made a preset and every company on earth started using said preset. I mean, you know the look. Lowercase font, rounded corners, soft gradient, white background. At some point in history, every tech company decided that they wanted to look like a meditation app. The thing with modern design is that it isn't about solving problems anymore, it's about avoiding risk. Big companies, they're not looking for a design that some people love and that other people hate. They don't want a design where there's going to be people complaining about it. They want as little people that hate it as possible. Because the thing is that if 10 people like your thing on Twitter and then 2 people are very loudly complaining about it, that's an issue. So instead of the meeting at corporate being, is this visually interesting? Is this creative? It's more like, will this get us yelled at? Is this gonna raise our profit margin by 50 cents every quarter? And then if one company does it successfully, every other company will see that that was successful and safe. And so they'll be like, cool, we'll do that too. That's kind of what happens when you let one department of the company have a little too much control. And modern design decisions get tested constantly. A/B testing, engagement metrics, heat maps. If one button color gets tapped 3% more, that color wins. If a cleaner interface reduces complaints, even if it's by a tiny margin, congratulations, victory. And over time, the design ends up becoming whatever performs best. The problem is that statistically safe design in whatever kind of design, whether it's graphic, industrial, UI, whatever it be, that kind of design tends to usually look the same everywhere. Because as humans, we tend to respond fairly similarly to certain visual cues. If it feels trustworthy. Minimal also just feels modern. Smooth feels premium. So everything tends to just trend towards the average. You don't end up with the best design at all. You just end up with the less risky one. When people say that the older designs were better, that they don't make them like they used to, part of it is nostalgia. But part of it's also because companies took bigger risks. If you look at things from the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, there was a lot more differentiation between different products. You can find a lot of differences amongst different companies and you could tell what company was making what. The original Miata did not look like anything else out at the time. The original iMacs, they were a completely new thing on their own, but the people who liked them really liked them. And that's the thing, is that those companies at the time took a risk. Because the reality is nobody knew if any of that was going to work. Nobody knew if anyone was going to like it. Nobody knew if anybody was going to think it looked cool. And guess what? They blew up. But someone had to take a risk first. And now, none of that is being done. There is no risk. Because the problem is that polarizing design is an issue when you're selling globally. So although everything becomes more acceptable, it also becomes far more forgettable. And to be fair, it isn't all bad. Modern products are easier to use. Interfaces are far more predictable. You can switch between an app on your phone, an app on your car, something on your computer. Probably gonna be able to quickly figure out pretty easily how something works because it works just about the same on every other device. The biggest downside, of course, though, is that identity has kind of gotten tossed in the trash. So what's the problem? Everything's kind of driven by global markets, digital platforms, and data-driven decisions. It's just data, data, data. When you follow the numbers too much and you try to be overly efficient, you start to kind of lose soul, which I think is a big reason that people feel like everything that's coming out, all the super futuristic stuff, it's a bit uncanny. It's cool, it's efficient, but it feels dead. It doesn't feel like any thought process, or at least heavy thought process, went into most of it. It's like we're slowly trying to erase human error and make things as perfect as possible, which starts to make everything feel a little bit cold and sterile. But those are my opinions. I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know down in the comment section. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, follow me on all my socials. All of those links are down in the description. Today's verse of the day is from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 5, and it reads, "Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs." God bless everybody, and I hope that wherever you guys are, whenever you guys are watching today's video, you have a great, wonderful day. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.